Trip to Greece, Solangelo AU by Prettiestpivvo, Chapter 11. Nico's point of view. We had just got down the stairs and Mr. Bruner had emailed all the students our schedules. Since we weren't near too many attractions, we had to go in small groups and go to different attractions. I peered at the group I was in. I had Raina, Will, and one other boy, named Octavian. I didn't know him well, but he was in my science class and pissed everyone off. But besides that, our schedule was Saturday, today, Coolest Fortress from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., a small break at some coffee shop, Heracleon Archaeological Museum from 11 to 1:30 p.m., lunch, and last but not least, the Museum of Musical Instruments from 3 to 5 p.m. Will seemed especially excited for this one. Last year, Mr. Bruner had given us all the Greek gods to research. A Greek god to research and create a PowerPoint on, and Will had been given Apollo, so he knew all about musical instruments. I'm not sure I would have been all that excited to go to some death museum since I had gotten Hades, but I suppose there was a fat line between music and death. On Sunday, the day of Lester's birthday party, we would go to the Agios Titus Church from 9:30 to 10:15 a.m. The Venetian Loggia, which was only a 2-minute walk from the church, from 10:20 to 1:30 p.m., lunch, and a trip to the Knossos Palace, the home of King Minos, and where the labyrinth had begun, from 2:45 to 6:45 p.m. I wasn't sure what time the party would be. Monday, we had a free day to chill on the beach out front of our hotel and do shopping or just hang out. Tuesday, we would go to the St. George Epanosis from 9 to 10:30 a.m. The Gottison's Museum from 11:10 to 1 p.m. lunch, then the Agios Petros Church and Monastery from 2:30 to 3 p.m. Then we would head home. Wednesday, we had nothing planned, as we were flying home, which was a 12-hour flight. Hopefully, I could sit next to Will again. I wasn't even trying to deny my obsession anymore. Yesterday had been a fever dream. Anyway, we ate breakfast with the others. Percy and Annabeth had been looking at Will and I. We were sitting next to each other a lot this morning. I'm sure it was nothing. Once we finished breakfast, we grabbed the stuff we had brought downstairs, Raina with us, moving to the entrance to meet our group. We met the teacher who would be with us, Miss Dodds, my math teacher, and the other boy, Octavian, came a minute later. He was tall, pale, and scrawny, with blonde hair and blue eyes, so similar yet so different to Will's own. They seemed cold, while Will's seemed to radiate warmth. Are you and this guy secretly related or something? I whispered into Will's ear, having to push onto my tippy toes to reach it. He chuckled. Totally, Nico. His voice dripped with sarcasm. I smirked, turning my head back to where the tall boy was standing. I thought I caught Octavian eyeing Will up and down. The smirk I had turned to a slight downturn of my mouth before I fixed it to look uninterested. What was this guy's deal? And what was that bitter thing I was feeling and tasting? No, it couldn't have been jealousy, could it? I was dragged out of my raging thoughts when the car who would drive us the 15 minutes to the fortress. The car consisted of 6 seats, 3 in the front and 3 in the back. Raina volunteered to sit in the front on the right with Miss Dodds in the middle, driver on the left. I sat behind the driver, Will next to me and Octavian next to him. I could still see the strange boy staring at Will, with something I couldn't quite put my finger on. We arrived to the fortress, thanked the driver, and got out. As soon as we were out of the vehicle, Octavian pulled Will to the side and asked him something. He thought I couldn't hear him, the little bitch. Hey there, Will. Octavian smirked at a very confused-looking Will. I was thinking maybe we could go out sometime, like on a date. Will comprehended the question and immediately began to look uncomfortable. I hate to seem that way. Oh, When had I ended up next to this beautiful blonde? And when had I given my mouth permission to speak? Shit. Hey, are you alright, Will? I asked casually. Is this guy annoying you? You look a little off put. Yep, he's completely fine. You can head on out now, Octavian sneered. I narrowed my eyes. I just think maybe you should have actually just had a little itsy bits of patience before just asking him out, that's all. I said, but please, continue to ask out the guy you don't know before having to spend a whole 3 days with him. Why do you care so much, Nico? Octavian scoffed. It's not like you two are dating. It then really hit me that Octavian was completely right. I didn't have much right to be bombarding Will's answer to the offer of a date. A sinking feeling entered my gut. Will was now looking even more uncomfortable, and I was almost entirely sure a lot of that was now my fault. Shit, I felt terrible. So I backed off, took a deep breath. You're right, and I apologized, Octavian. I was just trying to help. I'll leave you to it. That had hit like a brick. I walked over to where Miss Dodds was fussing with her iPhone, trying to find the ticket she swore she had, Raina attempting to help her. I couldn't help but slow down just a fraction when I heard Will begin to speak, but I didn't hear his answer. It seemed like the answer would have been no because of his reaction to the question, but maybe he had just been caught off guard by the spontaneous question. Maybe I would ask about it later. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe Will wouldn't even talk to me after that little outburst. I sighed. But later on, not entirely to my surprise, once we had passed through the entrance, Will came to walk next to me. I looked over my shoulder and saw a disappointed look on his face. I said no, Will mumbled. Thank you for trying to help, even if it didn't exactly work. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly. Mine did too, a ghost of a smile gracing my face. I was happy he had said no. It meant I could continue feeling the delusion that was my life, that Will would ever like me back. We spent the rest of the day meandering through our activities at a casual pace. Octavian asked a few more times over the course of the day to see if Will had changed his mind. Maybe Octavian was just as delusional as me. Of course, Will denied him after each offer he received. I had also caught Will looking at me often during the day. Sometimes it was just the whole of myself the blonde seemed to be looking at. But other times it was just specifically my hair or my eyes or mouth. My hair and eyes I could explain. Will had said he liked my eyes, and my hair wasn't half bad, but staring at my mouth was strange. I didn't really understand it, because there was no way Will liked him back, right? I wasn't so sure anymore. It didn't help I had also caught myself looking at the Sunshine Boy's lips either.